Well, from tomorrow, the process for the country's biggest stocktake begins as thousands of collectors start delivering forms ahead of the national census. Run every 5 years, the census will be held on August the 9th. 29,000 collectors have been enlisted to deliver and pick up census forms across the country. In all, 1.8 million households will be asked 60 questions about their work, income and family makeup. It'll help gauge an accurate picture of our 22.6 million strong population, though the census figure will confirm that. The results will be used to help governments plan for the future when it comes to health, education and other infrastructure.
For the past 100 years, the national census has helped shape our country, and it's also helped us know who we are as Australians. Every 5 years, the census gives the Australian Bureau of Statistics a snapshot of the nation. It provides an essential set of information for decision makers, for policy people and for communities generally.
During the last census, more than 50,000 Australians marked themselves down as Jedi, though officials say that's not a recognised religion in Australia and therefore it didn't count. Now, for more on the census and what it means, I'm joined by Paul Lowe. He's the head of Population Census Program with the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Now, Paul Lowe, how susceptible is the census to people giving nonsensical answers? You know, sometimes there are campaigns, particularly online, encouraging people to be a bit cheeky with their responses.
Sure, yeah, and there's been some discussion about that, but the vast majority of Australians answer the questions on the census accurately to the best of their ability, and we encourage that because census information is so vital for shedding some light on our communities right across the nation.
Well, I was going to ask you, explain what is this census information being used for and why is it so critical for people to answer honestly?
Well, for a start, it underpins our democracy. The numbers of seats in the House of Reps is based on information from the census, from the population counts. There's over $40 billion in GST funding that's distributed to our communities right across the country, again, based on census information. If you look at the billions of dollars in infrastructure that goes in for health, for aged care facilities, sporting, recreational facilities, again, all based on census data.
So give us an idea of the type of questions that will be asked.
Well, in this census, we're asking exactly the same sorts of questions that we did 5 years ago. So we'll be asking you about your living arrangements, whether you're a recent migrant, for example, about your occupation, educational qualifications, how you got to work, etc. So it's a very rich data set.
And what about religion? We were having a little bit of a joke earlier about people putting down that they were Jedis. That's not a recognised religion. But is the religion question there this time round? And is it one that you have to answer, or can you choose not to answer some questions?
Yeah, the religion question is one question that's been a constant throughout the 100 years of census taking. But the religion question is optional. But we still find that over 80% of Australians still answer that religion question.
Are there any other questions that are optional, so to speak?
No, religion is the only question on the form that is optional.
Why is that?
I think it goes back to 1911, and back then. People thought that it may be a little bit controversial, and it's been the same ever since then.
Tell me a little bit about the efforts to reach everybody, because you're trying to get a complete picture of Australia. So that would include, for example, trying to reach people in very remote areas, also people who might be homeless in our inner city streets.
Yeah, exactly. For example, with the homeless, we're working with the service providers in that particular sector, with organisations like St Vinny's, for example, working through the refuges, through the soup kitchens, etc. So we'll be out there counting people that are sleeping rough on the streets, and also counting people in temporary accommodation and refuges that are experiencing homelessness.
And what about online? You can fill your census form out online. Can you do it before the actual date?
Yeah, well, the eCensus online application, that opens up to the public tomorrow. You can jump on board and check it out and start filling in your form before 9 August. But we just ask people just to wait until 9 August or even the day after before they hit that submit button.
And what about the security of information when you fill things out online? I know there's been a lot of controversy in recent months about people's personal data being stolen, hacked, you know, Sony PlayStations, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
How
sure.
can we be confident that we're filling something out on an ABS website and someone's not going to fiddle with it?
Yeah, sure. Look, we've had rigorous third-party testing by several companies. We're using the strongest decryption technology that's available. So it is very secure. But obviously some people still may have some concerns, and we understand that. So they still have the option of completing the paper form.
And finally, the census August 9th, when will we get the results?
June of next year. Exciting time for us all.
Indeed. Paul Lowe, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Kim.